Have you ever wondered why we keep making the same mistakes in our relationships over and over again? It's a question that plagues many of us, and the answer lies in understanding these relationship mistakes in the first place. Relationships, they're a dynamic dance of personalities, emotions, and circumstances. But sometimes we find ourselves tripping over the same steps repeatedly. This cycle of repeating mistakes can be frustrating and even detrimental to our relationships. Why do we do this, you ask? Well, there are psychological reasons at play. Our past experiences, our fears, our insecurities, they all contribute to the actions we take in our relationships. Understanding these reasons is the first step towards breaking this cycle. In this video, we'll delve deeper into these psychological factors, shedding light on why we make these common relationship mistakes. By the end of this video, you'll have a deeper understanding of the psychology behind relationship mistakes and know how to avoid them. First, let's delve into the most common relationship mistakes we often make. One of the most frequent errors is the lack of communication. It's like trying to navigate a ship without a compass. Without open and honest communication, partners can feel lost and disconnected. Misunderstandings brew, assumptions are made, and before you know it, there's a full-blown storm brewing on what was once calm waters. Next on the list is infidelity. This is a breach of trust that often leads to a rupture in the relationship that is challenging to mend. The pain caused by infidelity can leave deep scars, and the trust once shared can be hard to rebuild. It's like a cracked mirror. Even when glued back together, the reflection will never be quite the same. Then we have neglecting each other's needs. In a relationship, it's essential to understand and value your partner's needs. Neglecting to do so can lead to feelings of discontent and resentment. It's akin to a plant that's not watered or given sunlight, eventually withering away. Lastly, we have unrealistic expectations. These are the silent relationship killers. When we expect our partners to be perfect or to fulfill all our needs, we set ourselves up for disappointment. It's like expecting a bird to swim or a fish to fly. It's just not their nature. These common mistakes like lack of communication, infidelity, neglect of each other's needs, and unrealistic expectations can lead to the downfall of a relationship. But remember, a mistake is only a problem if we don't learn from it. Each of these errors can be a stepping stone towards growth and understanding if we choose to see it that way. Now that we know the common mistakes, let's delve into the psychology behind them. Our minds play a huge role in how we behave in our relationships. This statement rings true across the vast spectrum of human interactions, and nowhere is it more evident than in the context of romantic relationships. Today, we'll delve into the fascinating world of psychology to uncover the reasons why we sometimes stumble and make mistakes in our relationships. First off, let's talk about the fear of vulnerability. This is a deep-seated psychological issue that many of us grapple with. The idea of opening ourselves up, revealing our true selves, and potentially getting hurt in the process can be terrifying. This fear often leads us to put up walls and create distance in our relationships. We might avoid deep conversations, shy away from expressing our feelings, or even sabotage the relationship before it gets too serious, all in an attempt to protect ourselves from the perceived threat of emotional pain. Next, we have past traumatic experiences. These can significantly shape our present behaviors and attitudes in relationships. If we've been hurt in the past, whether it was by a parent, a former lover, or even a close friend, we might carry that pain with us into our current relationships. We might be overly cautious, suspicious, or even overly clingy, all because we're trying to avoid repeating past experiences. This is a form of what psychologists call emotional baggage, and it can be a major stumbling block in our quest for healthy, fulfilling relationships. Moving on, let's discuss attachment styles. These are essentially patterns of how we behave in relationships, and they are shaped by our early experiences with our caregivers. There are 3 primary attachment styles: secure, anxious, and avoidant. Those with a secure attachment style tend to have healthy, satisfying relationships. However, those with anxious or avoidant attachment styles often struggle. Anxious individuals might constantly seek reassurance and fear abandonment, while avoidant individuals might shun intimacy and struggle to commit. These attachment styles can lead us to repeat certain mistakes in our relationships, often without even realizing it. Finally, the human tendency towards familiarity and patterns also plays a significant role in our relationship behaviors. We are creatures of habit, after all. We tend to gravitate towards what is familiar, even if it's not necessarily healthy or beneficial for us. This is why we often find ourselves falling into the same patterns in our relationships, making the same mistakes over and over again. It's not that we're stupid or incapable of learning from our mistakes. It's simply that our brains are wired to seek out what is familiar and comfortable, even if that means repeating past mistakes. In conclusion, our psychology plays a significant role in how we behave in our relationships. The fear of vulnerability, past traumatic experiences, our attachment styles, and our tendency towards familiarity and patterns can all lead us to make mistakes in our relationships. It's important to note, however, that understanding these factors is not about assigning blame or wallowing in self-pity. Instead, it's about gaining insight into our behaviors and patterns and using this knowledge to make positive changes. Understanding these psychological factors can help us break the cycle of repeating the same mistakes. So, remember, the journey to healthier relationships starts with understanding ourselves. Constantly making the same mistakes can have serious impacts on our relationships. When we fall into a pattern of repeating mistakes, the effects can be profound and far-reaching. Let's delve into how these impacts can manifest. Firstly, there's the erosion of trust. Trust is the bedrock of any relationship, and when mistakes are made over and over, it can quickly crumble. Imagine a vase, beautifully crafted and painstakingly painted. Each mistake is like a chip in the vase. One or two may not seem like much, but over time, the vase becomes less and less beautiful, less and less whole. Trust is the same. It needs to be nurtured and protected, for once it's damaged, it's difficult to restore. Next, we have emotional distancing. When relationship mistakes persist, we may find ourselves pulling away from our partner emotionally. This distancing is a form of self-protection, a way to shield ourselves from the pain of repeated disappointments. But in doing so, we also create a chasm between ourselves and our partner, a divide that can be challenging to bridge. Another impact is relationship dissatisfaction. If we are consistently making the same mistakes, we may start to feel unhappy in our relationship. This dissatisfaction can permeate every aspect of our lives, affecting our mood, our health, and our overall well-being. It can turn what should be a source of joy and support into a source of stress and sadness. Finally, the most severe consequence of repeating relationship mistakes is the eventual breakdown of the relationship. This is the point where the trust has eroded, the emotional distance has become too great, and the dissatisfaction has reached its peak. The relationship, once a beautiful partnership, can become a battleground of resentment and regret. But fear not, there are ways to break this cycle. We have the power to learn from our mistakes, to grow and evolve, and to create healthier, happier relationships. The key lies in understanding the psychology behind our actions and finding effective solutions to our relationship mistakes. Stay tuned as we explore these solutions in the next scene. Breaking the cycle of relationship mistakes requires conscious effort and understanding. To navigate the path of love, we sometimes trip over obstacles and fall into pits. But it's not about how many times we stumble, it's about how many times we get back up, dust ourselves off, and learn from those missteps. So, let's dive into some solutions to common relationship mistakes. Firstly, improving communication. Communication is the lifeblood of a relationship. It's not just about talking, but about listening, understanding, and responding. When communication breaks down, misunderstandings occur, trust erodes, and conflicts arise. To improve communication, start by openly and honestly expressing your feelings. Use I statements to avoid sounding accusatory. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," say, "I feel unheard when you're on your phone during our conversations." Remember, it's not about winning an argument. It's about understanding each other better. Secondly, understanding and addressing personal fears and traumas. Our past doesn't just disappear when we enter a relationship. It follows us, influencing how we interact with our partner. It's important to recognize and address these personal fears and traumas. This could mean seeking therapy or counseling, or simply engaging in self-reflection and self-care. Understand that healing takes time, and it's okay to ask for your partner's patience and support in this process. In turn, be patient and supportive of your partner's journey as well. Thirdly, recognizing and adjusting attachment styles. Attachment styles formed in childhood influence how we relate to others in our adult relationships. There are 4 primary attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, and fearful avoidant. Understanding your attachment style can help you recognize unhealthy patterns in your relationships. For instance, if you're anxiously attached, you might need constant reassurance from your partner. Recognizing this can help you work on developing a more secure attachment style, fostering a healthier relationship. Finally, developing healthier relationship patterns. This involves setting boundaries, practicing empathy, showing appreciation, and maintaining individuality. Boundaries are not walls, they're guidelines for how you want to be treated. Empathy allows you to understand your partner's perspective, diffusing conflicts and enhancing connection. Regularly showing appreciation fosters positive feelings and strengthens your bond. And maintaining individuality ensures that you don't lose yourself in the relationship. You're two separate individuals coming together, not two halves completing a whole. Each relationship is unique, shaped by the unique individuals within it. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to relationship mistakes. What works for one couple might not work for another. But these strategies, improving communication, addressing personal fears and traumas, recognizing and adjusting attachment styles, and developing healthier relationship patterns, serve as a good starting point. Remember, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to stumble and fall. What's important is to learn from these mistakes, to grow and evolve. Relationships are not about perfection. They're about progress, about two people growing together, learning together, and loving each other through it all. And remember, you're not alone in this journey. There are countless resources available: books, articles, podcasts, therapists, and counselors to help you navigate the complexities of love and relationships. With these tools, you're equipped to avoid repeating the same relationship mistakes. Understanding the psychology behind our actions is the first step in changing our patterns. And there you have it. We've journeyed through the labyrinth of relationship mistakes, peered into the psychological reasons that drive us into these errors, and surfaced with practical solutions that can help us navigate more smoothly. We've seen that common relationship mistakes, like miscommunication, lack of trust, and neglecting personal growth, often have deep psychological roots. These errors can stem from our past experiences, our insecurities, or even our fear of vulnerability. But by understanding the psychology behind these mistakes, we can begin to see them not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and understanding. We also emphasized the importance of self-awareness in this journey. It's through self-awareness that we can recognize our patterns, understand our triggers, and start to make conscious changes. It's through self-awareness that we can shift from reactive to proactive, from being controlled by our past to shaping our future. But self-awareness alone isn't enough. It's the first step, yes, but it's not the last. We also need to make conscious efforts to improve. This might mean learning new communication skills, setting boundaries, or even seeking professional help. It's not always easy and it's not always comfortable, but it's through these efforts that we can truly start to transform our relationships. And let's not forget, we're all human. We all make mistakes. It's a part of our nature. But as we've learned today, these mistakes don't have to define us. They don't have to be the end of our relationships. Instead, they can be stepping stones, guiding us towards deeper understanding, greater self-awareness, and stronger relationships. So as we wrap up this journey, let's keep these insights in mind. Let's remember that understanding our psychology is the first step, that self-awareness is the key, and that conscious effort is the path towards improvement. Remember, nobody's perfect, but with understanding and effort, we can all improve our relationships and avoid these common mistakes.